Hello, everyone. Welcome back to this week's video. I got my predictions for the week and a special announcement at the very end. Stay tuned for that. I'm going to start this week with the Friday matchup. Toronto goes to Hamilton, taking on the Ticats for the second time this year. The Argos have looked incredible so far this season. Chad Kelly has been firing on all cylinders. That run game looks practically unstoppable. They really took it to Hamilton in the first matchup. And even with this game in Steel Town, I still see the Argos coming out with victory. Next up, we've got Saskatchewan and BC. I've made it clear I think that the Lions are the best overall team in the CFL, while the Riders kind of came back to earth a little bit. I think 3-2 is a decent indicator of how good this team actually is. And now, even with that, you've got Mason Fines start coming up in light of Trevor Harris's injury. Just going to add another complication. I think Mason Fine is going to be a decent fill in for the rest of this season. He's been around that organization a while, and we've seen he's got a good arm. He can make some throws. I'm just concerned that he's going to force a couple of plays when they're not there, because I think that BC is going to jump out to an early lead in this game, and then it will cause Fine to have to try and force some plays late in the game. And I think BC steals, well, not necessarily steals, more seals the game late with the defense. Lastly, closing out the week, we've got Ottawa and Calgary. This is the second time the two teams have played each other. First time was in week 2, which was a victory for the Stampeders, but the Red Blacks were still very uncertain at quarterback at that point, whether it was Arbuckle or Adams. Now they're on their fourth quarterback of the season, and he has been, without a doubt, the most exciting and the best quarterback they've suited up. Dustin Crum led a terrific comeback against the Blue Bombers last week in his first start. Had some help with the pick six late to steal that victory over the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Obviously, he's not going to be incredible every game, but I think he's going to be solid. Other teams have little tape on him at this point, and I think gives them a little unpredictability. And I think he's one of those guys who's just not afraid to go out there and sling it. He's not necessarily afraid of turning it over. He just wants to make plays. And I think that's going to serve him well in this game. I got the Red Blacks pulling off the upset in this one. Now, for the first game that's going to be played this week, played on Thursday night, the Elks go to Winnipeg to take on the aforementioned Blue Bombers. And I was holding off on this one because my special announcement is that I will be at IG Field for this game. It's going to be my first CFL game in person. I cannot wait for this. Whatever the outcome will be, this is going to be a very memorable experience. First time at a CFL game. I'm just looking forward to having a good time. Now, the question becomes, what is this game going to look like? Well, like I talked about earlier, Blue Bombers are coming off a stunning loss in Ottawa to the Red Blacks. I think they're going to come out mad in this game. I really do. Even though their defense is not what it has been the previous years, we obviously know that the Elks are struggling mightily on the offensive side of the ball right now. Taylor Cornelius is going to be back under center again starting this week. And I'm wondering if this situation is going to tear apart any chemistry that might still exist within that locker room. I wonder if doubt has already started creeping into players' minds of, is this the guy? We've seen some good plays from Cornelius this season, but just too many that just make you shake your head and wonder how he got the contract that he did. But team has committed the money to him, so they're going to see it out. And I have thought that the line has played better the past 2 weeks or so, but it's going to have its collective hands full with Willie Jefferson, Jackson Jeffcoat coming off the edge. Got Adam Big Hill in the middle of the Winnipeg defense. Probably going to be hard to run the ball in this game for the Elks. So in the end, it comes down to, can the Elks consistently move the ball, stay out of second and long situations, and not turn the ball over? I know those are some very basic keys, but when this team is still struggling as it is, you just got to get back to the basics and get those things done, and then just go from there. One curious thing I saw on the depth chart is Jake Serezna is no longer starting at defensive end. He's now defensive tackle behind Coney Ely. Two guys who have played a lot at D end have now moved inside. I've seen Coney Ely play a lot from his time in the NFL, the Carolina Panthers, and also in college at Missouri, because both of us were there at the same time. Guy has always been fairly quick, but he's a little different now. His just physique's a little bit different, and we still see that quickness sometimes, but I think there are times he gets a little too aggressive in trying to play the run. And I think that Brady Oliveira could have a pretty big game, especially without Niles Morgan in the middle of the Elks defense for this game. There is a lot of questions that are floating in my mind for this Elks defense. How are they going to be able to stop the run, especially when you know that you can't put more men in the box against the run because all their weapons on the outside, from Dembski, Schoen, Wolotarski, you can't leave all those guys one-on-one. They'll burn you badly. And on top of that, Kenny Lawler could be back in the lineup. I don't necessarily expect him to have a big game for the Bombers, but he certainly does give Edmonton something else to worry about. So all this to say, I think you get where this is going. I think that Winnipeg will win this game, but if the Elks can at least make a respectable effort to run the football, avoid the turnovers, cause a couple themselves, in a given Sunday, or in this case, Thursday. So that's the beauty of this game. You just never know what could happen. So definitely hoping for the best. I'll be back here to wrap it all up after the game is over. I'll see you then.